Previously on CSIS 2470.
And so far, nothing. Hopefully right when I get there. Almost there. Bam, it's a hit. Look at that. Okay, so I got 70 hits. Now I got 82 because I bumped it there. Let's come right to the bottom here and watch that 82 number go up as soon as I touch right there. Look at that. Okay, so let's clear that out. Now I'm going to go reposition, because right now I can't get this rectangle to the left side of it yet or above it, so I'm going to reposition it, and I want to change the color so we can see it a little bit better. So let's come back over here, and we'll make the one that's starting off, we'll make it like at position 500 here. Let's just see how that looks. Yeah, that's better. We can play around with that. Okay, that's good. That might be too much. Maybe more like 200. Let's try that. That's almost there. Sorry about that, folks. 250. That should be good. Okay, I just want to, so I can get around it without bumping into it. Okay, there we go. All right, and I want to change the color real quick. So I'm just going to do a little quick thing here with the attached where I'm drawing this for the fill style. I'm going to actually use the ternary operator right here. So instead of it equaling blue, I'm going to say it's equal to this dot A. In the event that it's this dot A, which is the attached one, then I want it to be blue, which that should be a question mark, or it should be pink. All this is saying here is based on this truth value, you either print that or you print that, right? So if this is true, then print blue. If this is false, then print pink. All right, so one square will be pink, one will be blue. So there's the pink one, and here's the blue one. I'm going to clear that again. And let's come up to the top. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Up here on the top. So watch, there's no hits. I'm coming down. Here we go. Closer, and not quite touching yet. There's a little bit of green there, and right there. Now it's touching. Okay, I've got 86 hits. Let's increase this a little bit so we can see it. Let's just clear that again so we can see it nice and clearly, right? So look how close we get. No hits. Right there, as soon as it touches. All right, so we have 69 hits now. When I get, watch it, right when I get to the edge there, nothing, and as soon as I touch, it starts going. So it looks like my collision detection is working. Obviously, if I'm intersecting it anywhere here, none of the conditions of a false intersection are true, right? So the top of the blue one is not greater than the bottom of the pink one. So that's why we have a hit. If it were, then we would not have a hit, right? It's also true that the left of the blue is not greater than the right of the blue, because if it were, we would not have a hit. You can watch the counter stop when I move it. It's also true that the bottom of the blue one is not less than the top of the pink one. Since that's not true, I'm getting a bunch of hits. As soon as that becomes true, I can't be intersecting anymore. And last but not least, the right side of this blue one is not less than the left side of the pink one, because the moment that becomes true, we have no hits. So that algorithm seems to be working just fine. One last thing we can do, this is a nice little trick when you have something that's just going to return a true or false. This whole thing right here will evaluate to just true or just false. So I could just simply say return this, which is almost what I want to do, right? Because whenever that's true, I want to return false, if that makes any sense. So I want to return the opposite of that. So I can just simply say return not that whole thing. Close that out, get rid of this. So if I just say return not that, because remember, if this is true or that's true or whatever, that means I'm not intersecting. As long as one of those is true, I'm not intersecting. Okay? So if I'm not intersecting, then I want my hit to be false. So, but if I'm not intersecting, this whole mess becomes true. So I want to return not that. Okay? Because I'm not intersecting, right? When this is true, that means I'm not intersecting, which means if I return the opposite of that, it means I'm returning that I'm not intersecting, right? Which is what gives me this value that if that's true, console out a hit. That's it. So I'm going to delete the little note here. All right. So here we are with this little teeny collision function. It's just basically one line of code. Let's make sure I didn't break it. And here we go. Clear the hits. and nothing, 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 hits all around. When I move hits, move off, stops, in, out, stop, and go. Looks like it's still working. So that's it for intersection collision detection, as we call it. It's a very important concept in programming, especially when you're programming games. There's one other little tip I want to show you here that can cause an issue if you're not careful. Depends on the application that you're trying to do. But let's give this rectangle brush line width is equal to 10. And let's do brush dot stroke, right? So we want to actually have a line on it. And we want the brush dot fill style to be equal to, what's the color that will contrast with pink and blue? Like, let's do orange, I guess. See how that looks. Okay, fill style, sorry, stroke style. Okay, so there, you got this big, ugly orange. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, maybe I want a different color on my blue rectangle. So we're gonna do the same idea right here. Let's just do this. And if it's true, we'll give it a nice red border. And if it's false, we'll give it an orange border. All right, there we go, that's what we're looking for. Okay, clear that out. Now notice here what's going to happen. Watch when I get close. Notice right now it's not colliding, okay? But a little bit more and now it starts colliding. What's happening there is that the border, it sort of changes your XY a little bit. It's a little wonky what happens. So what I'm going to do to show you what's going on there, I'm going to quickly not make this U here, and I'm going to reattach the mouse text here, so you can see the coordinates, right? And so this particular square here we created was at 250 by 250. Well, look where 250 is. It's kind of like, let me scroll way big here. Okay, it's right there. Notice that it's not at this pink corner and it's not at this corner. It's halfway in between, right? And my Y is at 251, so if I move my, there we go, perfect. If I don't breathe, I'm holding my mouse right now, you'll see that that is dead center between the actual box and the edge of the border. And if we make that orange transparent, watch this. So let's just make that orange RGBA red 255 and the green 50 and blue 50 and about 0.5 transparency there. You can actually see now, look at the border. That border is translucent, and so you can see the pink behind the border there. That pink is coming from that box right here. So the corner of the box is still right there. But remember, I made a line width of 10. It actually does not add 10 pixels to the border. It adds half that. So that 10 pixel border, 5 of it's inside the box, 5 of it's outside the box. So if you have a border on there, so let's make it a little bit more obvious, like a huge thing here. All right, let's screen that a little bit. And let me get rid of that other rectangle too. That's bugging me. Where's my draw? Just, I think U is the one I need to hide there. Yeah, okay. So I know this is weird because the color I chose. Let me get a different color here so it's very, very clear what's going on. We'll make this 0 and we'll make the green 255. Let's see. And now I got a green on green background. Oh, sorry, folks. There we go. Okay, so this is really tricky to see what's really happening here. This blue, because it's translucent, it looks like I've got 3 things going on. Like I got some pink thing, I got some purple thing, and I got some blue thing. The truth is I have a pink thing and a blue thing. That blue thing is really thick. It's from here to here thick, right? It's this thick. That's how thick it is, right? Or this thick. Just so happens that half of that thickness, right? It's, let me get that out of there. The thickness is 50. Well, half of that 50 is the purple. The other half of that 50 is the blue. And the reason it looks 2 different colors is because the blue is actually see-through. I've made it a little bit translucent. So what you're really seeing is this pink underneath the blue, which is making it look kind of purple. But really, I've just made that blue sort of see-through, right? So that's what's going on. But my point in telling you that is that where is the 250 by 250? It's right there, which is halfway through the border. So if we're going to do collision detection when you have a border, you have to take into consideration the width of the line, all right? So that was my whole point in that. So let's go back to showing everything the way we had it. Get rid of that. I think that's everything. Let's just see if we're back to where we started here with our collision detection. Yeah, looks like we're okay. All right, so now I'm going to change this to something a little bit more manageable here, back to a 10. What I need to do here in my collision function right here I need to access this line.width business. So I'm going to set that as a variable so I can access that. I'm just going to say this dot line width equals 10, right? And then down here, we're going to say line width is line width, right? So now what do I have to do to make this work? All of my variables, I have to add the half of the thickness of the line width. So line width divided by 2, right? So where do we add that in? Let's take a look at our picture here. I want the collision to happen right here, not right there, which is where it will be happening. So it's happening right here. Well, I need to add 5 more pixels so that it'll get to the edge there. So looking at the X here, I want to add in another plus this dot line width, and I want to do others dot line width divided by 2. I think that will give me that, and I'm gonna have to do that in every spot here. So it's gonna be, I might mess this up a little bit. Let me just see if I can think through it here. Stand by while I do that. So also on the X position, I think we're gonna need to add that. So let me just copy that little thing right there. I think that's gonna be the case. Let's just see how that's playing out real quick. And we get errors, of course. I found the errors right here. I should have said this dot line. All right, so here we go. Save that, run it again. And okay, so we're clear. Let me just clear that, make sure. Yeah, all right. Okay, so now let's just see how our interaction is now, if it's any better. Not quite. Let's look at the right side, see how we did there. Okay, I still need to add some more of these adding 5s everywhere. So pretty much everywhere I have an X, it looks like I'm probably gonna have to add, that should be this dot line width, right? I'm adding the width of whatever square I'm looking at. So in this case, I'm looking at X. I need to actually add in its line width as well, or half of its line width. And in this case, let's see, I should be able to say other dot line width divided by 2 plus. Let me just try to add it to all the X's first, and then plus this dot line width divided by 2. I think that's every spot there. Let's just look. Yeah, I think we got that. So let's see how we're doing now. Okay, so here we go. Still not quite getting it. Oh, I know why. Yeah, okay. So what's going on here is when I'm looking at the left side, which remember the left side is just X, I actually want to subtract, right? Because the X position is right here, like in the middle corner there, right where that purple is. It's hard to show you with my little pointer on my rectangle hanging out here. But right there on that corner where the purple is, that's where X is at the moment, which is, let's say that's, 250, I believe, right? Well, I need to actually look at 245, which is 5 pixels before that. Okay, so that should be, when I'm looking at X, I need to subtract that out. When I'm looking at, actually that one's right. When I'm looking at just plain X right here, okay, I need to subtract out the width. When I'm looking at the right side of the square, the right side is X plus the width plus 5, plus half of this, right? When I'm looking at the left side, it's the X position minus half, right? Hopefully that makes some sense. So in other words, let's look at our fun little picture here. Right here, the X position is 100. If I added a border to this, which this is not a border, this is just me labeling stuff. But if I did add a border, well, the border would actually be at 95 instead of 100. It'd be 5 pixels over. 5 of the pixels would be inside of here, and 5 of them would be on the outside of there if I added a 10 pixel thick border. So that's why we need to subtract that out. Okay, that's on the left side, but on the right side, where would the border be? Well, it'd be 305, right? Okay, so on the left side, this is actually the right side right here because we're adding in the width. So that's how we know it's the right side. So we want to also add the thickness of the border, half of it. And then this is the left side. So we want to subtract out 5 pixels. And then here we're looking at just the left side again, which is because X is the left, right? If you remember our notes we had earlier, we had left equals X, and we had right equals X plus width, and we had top equals Y, and we had bottom equals Y plus height. So what's happening now, this is without a border. Well, when I'm adding a border, I need to subtract off the line width divided by 2, right? In other words, 5 pixels, because that's where we want to look at our collision. If we're looking at the right side of it, I need to add in 5 pixels, And if we look in the top, again, the same idea. I need to subtract out 5 pixels. And on the bottom, I need to add in 5 pixels. Line width divided by 2, like so. All right, so here we go. When I've got this situation here, we're covered. I'm looking at X plus the width, which tells me I'm looking at right. I'm also adding in the half there. Okay, so it looks like my X collision detection should be working now. So let's just test that out. Let me shrink down a little bit, refresh the page, clear. So now I should, right when they touch, hopefully, bam, looks like that's working. And the right side here, let's see, perfect. All right, so let's just fix the Y here. And again, the same thing. At the moment, when I'm looking at Y, just Y by itself, plus the height, well, Y plus height, we know, is the bottom. So in that case, I'm supposed to also add in the width thickness divided by 2. So this, back up, right here, I need to say plus this dot LW plus O dot LW divided by 2, right? Okay, I'm going to try to break this up into multiple lines here. That way you can see it a little bit better, okay? So let's finish looking at the Y's here. So this particular Y of the other object, right, the O object, I'm looking at Y, which is the top, plus the height. That means I'm now at the bottom, plus half of the thickness of the line. That means that I'm outside on the edge of the border. If that's less than Y, well, what's Y? It's just the top. But I need to subtract out those 5 extra pixels there, by 2, right? All right, and here we are. We're looking at the top of the Y. Well, we need to subtract out pixels there. And the this dot Y plus the height, which means the bottom of this rectangle. So I need to add in this dot LW divided by 2. Assuming my little spacing here is legit, we should be good to go here, all right? So it looks like no errors. Let's try the bottom here. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Still nothing. Bummer, we got a bug, apparently. I wonder if it's just because of my spacing. So let's just try to fix that spacing real quick. I wanted you guys to be able to see the code pretty clearly now, but it's getting pretty darn hideous. So that's why I wanted to kind of word wrap it a little bit there. But looks like we're kind of stuck with this. Turn off my word wrap. Yeah. Make it super teeny here just for a second. Make sure all my word wrap's fixed. All right. Let me turn the word wrap back on and let's refresh it. Yeah, it looks like we're working again. Okay. So here we go. Bottom. Yep. Right when I touch. Right when I touch. Looks good. Okay. So I think we got it. And just to make sure, let's just make this border like super thick, not 550. Okay. And clear that out. And it should right there. It looks like it's working. All right. Right there. Yep. And I can barely fit it in there, but it is working even though I'm right against the edge. And at the top, same idea. It's working even though I'm barely touching it. So it looks good. I know it's a kind of messy business there. So hopefully you now got your head kind of wrapped around collision detection a little bit.
Hey gang, President Jeff here. Thanks for coming to class today. Take a look on the screen there, and if you can answer those questions, then you are ready to take the quiz. And more importantly, you learned what you need to know from this video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, folks.